Hey, it's Rob at MP. Today I want to talk to you about our PMO parts brand. I don't know if you are aware, MP owns and operates a brand just for Porsche, just for air-cooled Porsche, called PMO Induction, and we have a new line called PMO Parts. So today I want to talk with you about an aluminum crossmember that fits 911 and 914. There's a handful of reasons why you would replace your steel crossmember. For example, maybe your 914 took a center punch from its previous owner and this important structural piece is bent. It's not straight. It has an impact on how the car drives and rides. So there are a number of aluminum crossmembers on the marketplace. So we'll call this brand X. And what I wanted to do was compare it with the PMO part. And I think you're going to find some pretty interesting differences. So if you're in the middle of maybe hot rodding a 911, or maybe you're restoring a 914, a la the MP Super V 914, which is wearing our aluminum crossmember, you'll find that this crossmember is well worth your time. I haven't done that in a while, feels good. So let's have a look. Oh my, look at this, right out of the box, comparing this with what we'll call brand X. Look at the machining. So we have some pretty critical chamfering, forgive me, that I want to talk to a specialist about. So I want to introduce Mr. Robert Keller. He's the president of MP, he's the president of PMO Parts, and more importantly, he's installed many of these aluminum crossmembers on his project cars. Yeah. So Robert, can you talk to the audience, just the chamfering of the holes, for example. Can you give me some detail there?
Well, yeah, when we took the original and scanned it and decided to remanufacture it as our own, we obviously copied what Porsche had done originally. Yes. Chamfers are used as a lead so that when you have a very tight tolerance, you can get the parts fitted together correctly without galling the material, and also whatever minor imperfections there are in the body, it allows the part to install. If you have a very sharp edge like this, you may not be able to get it on because the tolerances between these suspension mounting points in the car is extremely tight. And if you have to force this on, you can bunch up material and then you're not getting the part seating correctly.
So there's a body mount, there's maybe a rubber or polyurethane body mount that this is going to ride on?
No, it goes actually into a steel mount on the body.
Okay.
So that's why it's critical, because that steel mount in the body that mounts the front suspension is as a locating ring, and it's extremely tightly tolerant to these holes.
And this, let's be clear, this crossmember ties the front end of the car together.
The whole front end is built off this crossmember. The original ones were steel, as you mentioned. They were expensive to make. They were hand fabricated and welded. And Porsche made this design for several reasons. When it first came out on the 73 RS for weight savings. And then later they decided, let's put it into mass production because A, it's simpler to make and it's lighter as well. And Porsche likes that lightweight ethos.
Sure.
These came out when they started to go into G-body cars, which had bigger bumpers. So to keep the weight down, they added the aluminum crossmember, which is a really, really popular upgrade for earlier cars that had the steel crossmember.
Okay, so let's recap real quick. I replace the steel crossmember with aluminum crossmember. I get more rigidity. I get less weight.
Yes. And
I'm going to reduce sprung weight.
Yes.
So we get multiple benefits from simply swapping out this crossmember.
Yeah. It's a more modern solution, even though these cars were built in the 70s, than a fabricated welded steel part. Simple as that. A lot of it has to do with performance, but it also has to do with production, repeatability as far as tolerances and that kind of thing. That's why all the features that are in this are very critical. And one of the things that we did on the PMO part was we use modern technology. Not only do we scan ours, Porsche's casting quality is extraordinarily high.
Yes.
So what we decided to do is go one step further, and the pockets that actually hold the control arms here, which is really what locates the geometry of the front suspension, we actually had these all CNC machined. Yeah. So they're not as cast, they're CNC machined, so they were extremely, extremely accurate. Yeah. And the aftermarket, I don't know. I know Porsche's tolerances are very good. I'm not sure about it.
If you can hold that up to the camera, I think we can see the differences between the pockets.
Where the suspension crossmembers go, control arms go.
Yeah. Exactly. So where those bushings are going to ride, I can see that the fit will be better, and that should impact the quality of the ride. Less squeaking. Who wants to chase
Well, alignment is everything.
Uh-huh.
If your front end is not aligned on a sports car, then you're chasing,
Sure.
you know, you're putting either a worn out part that's bent with a new version that's not maybe as accurate. So accuracy and alignment is everything, and we ensured that by having these CNC machines.
Every attribute here is a trade up. There's nothing that we're trading away.
No.
This is not going to be noisier. It's not going to be heavier. No. It's not going to have a detrimental impact on my steering.
Most people like to go to these for a couple of reasons. One, it's cool. Second, it is lighter, and it's simply a more modern part. And the problem is they were very expensive from Porsche for many years. They still are. Great part, but so people were buying them secondary market. And if the car that it came out of was hit, and you can't sell, it's slightly bent. Now all of a sudden you bought something, you put it in, it's bent. So we said, let's go to the aftermarket with a version that is not only accurate dimensionally with the original, it has all the features, and maybe we can even do some slight improvements, which is what we did. Yeah.
Now I also wanted to share the MP engineering department went through the Brand X Crossmember and found that the material itself was a little bit porous, which is not something you want to discover in a structural member of your chassis. So please make note there. As Robert mentioned, there are a number of aluminum cross members on the marketplace. We believe that the PMO part is an extremely faithful reproduction of the Porsche part, which is still available. It's just that it's very spendy, right?
Yeah, it's very costly because, again, it's Porsche is a premium product and they make a premium part, and we scaled it up and got the cost down by going into market with a larger quantity than they would typically make. So we didn't want to sacrifice any of the attributes of the original. So.
Okay. Now tell me about the steel pads. When you shared this with me off camera, I had a really hard time believing that this Brand X version doesn't even have it.
I don't know how this can function, but there is a steel pad that sits here, and it's normally riveted in. That pad is where the torsion bar adjuster goes to hold the front end of the car up. So there's an adjuster that goes through these holes, and a 911 and a 914 and 930 are all torsion bar front suspensions. So there's an adjuster that you raise and lower the car ride height. That bolt that adjusts rests on this pad, which has to be hardened steel, and we made sure ours matched the factory as far as its strength and hardness. Well, the point load, as they call it, meaning the tip of that bolt, which is pointed at the end, the entire weight of one side of the car is on that point load.
Wow.
And that's why this has to be extremely hardened. And you adjust the ride height of the car by turning this very strong hardened screw. Well, on this version, there is no pad.
Right.
And not only is this, in my opinion, unsafe, I don't know how it really works because you have this difference in height. So the adjuster may have to go in too far. The car is going to sit too low, number one. More critically, that bolt is now going to rest on an aluminum piece where it's designed to rest on a hardened steel pad.
And that's probably eventually going to fail because it's not designed for that load, right?
It's very concerning in my opinion because you have a hole there where the pin's supposed to go in to hold the pad, and you're going to have a bolt pushing on that. So the answer is, if you drove, eventually I think it's going to stress fail. So yeah.
And without that pad, I don't think you're going to run down to the Porsche dealer and say, hey, I need a steel pad for this, because as you mentioned, this has to be riveted in. So that's beyond the average.
It is not a separate part.
Okay, it's not a separate
part. There is no call out for it. It's not a separate part from Porsche. It was always part of the Crossmember. So it's very concerning if this is on the market, and we did buy this from a retailer.
Yes.
That's not there. I can't speak for whoever is producing it and why that would be the case. But I don't see any discernible difference as in they added material here or something. So in my opinion, having put in many of these, I would not put this in my own personal car.
Okay, that says a lot right there. PMO is about enjoying your Porsche, your air-cooled flat six Porsche. It's about enjoying your 2-liter Type 4 Porsche. If you are contemplating replacing a crossmember with an aluminum crossmember, we are going to collectively strongly suggest that you replace it with a PMO parts crossmember, which is available at any PMO authorized dealer. Robert, thanks so much for dropping by.
Welcome, Rob. Thank you.
Pleasure learning from you as usual.
Yeah, thank you.